and you can have them in the archives. You can get them anytime you want. As you can see, that the archives are building up quite a bit, and there's a lot of good stuff, and I'm actually going to be putting up a lot more stuff pretty soon. So you will have all the information you need right there on the resources and archives section of the master class. All right, let me give you a little bit of a rundown on this particular deal. I had a bird dogger who was sending me a lot of good stuff, a lot of very interesting information, a lot of great properties. She would only take it to a certain level, and then she'd pass me over to the guy who is the real decision maker in the deal. In this particular case, she passed me off to this broker. I'm going to assume it was a broker. He never really disclosed exactly what his responsibility was. But he sent over this 893 apartment, four apartment complex portfolio deal in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And he sent it on over in this Word document and said, okay, there you have it, make me an offer, $19.2 million, and essentially this is what he gave me, 15 pages. Most of it is useless. Most of it is just a nice little hello and thank you for taking time to review what I believe is the best and perhaps the last large portfolio of stabilized, high occupancy, undervalued apartments in the Atlanta metropolitan area, arguably the hottest market. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Moving on. As you can see, all I care about are the numbers. Show me the numbers. He doesn't show me the numbers. If you keep, he tells you how to purchase it. Please review the attached documentation thoroughly before submitting an offer. Submit an offer, simple contract preferred with verifiable proof of funds. Earnest money equal to 3% of the purchase price, so they're already dictating to you what your offer has to have. No assignment clauses. Well, that is ludicrous because you have to have an assignment clause when you're making these types of offers. You are never going to end up owning the entities in the same name as the entity making the offer. You create a new entity. So right away when they say no assignment clauses, that to me just rings of Bush League. These guys don't quite understand how these deals are done. And then they just, throw in a bunch of other offers. I'll tell you something, folks, just so you understand, when I'm working with new investors, they get to this particular page and they cave. They throw their hands up and say, I can never do this business. I can never meet these requirements. I'm done. Now, that's because they're novices. That's because they lack experience. When I get to these pages, I read it and I laugh out loud. I will make the offer that works for me. I'm not going to make the offer that these guys are dictating to. A 900-unit portfolio, and he's giving me 21 calendar days to inspect all of these units and the financials. No, a $20 million deal is not done in 21 calendar days. This is Bush League. So when I see something like this, I laugh and I just brush it off, and I make the offer I want to make. I don't care what these guys are saying. So as you can see, they have more pretty pictures. They give you this property information about the property. That they give you an attached rent roll. There was no rent roll attached. Here's their income and expense analysis. This is the extent of it. And valuation based upon a 10 cap. All right, fine. He's using a 10 cap. We're going to grab that number in a moment. Then he shows other properties as well. He gives it, all of these properties have the exact same type of analysis. And that is it. $20 million deal, 15-page Word document, and they want me to make an offer. I'm not kidding you. This is how some people operate. Well, this guy kept calling me up and saying, hey, what do you say? You want to make an offer? What are you waiting for? I'm just going to check these questions. Yes, okay, good. Thanks, Greg. And so, what are you waiting for? And I said, well, you know what? I need the trailing 12. Can you get me the trailing 12? Sure, I can get you the trailing 12. So then I receive the trailing 12, and here is what I get. Okay? It's an Excel document. Now, this could be fine under most circumstances, but you have to understand what it is that you're looking at here. Note up at the top, it says Colony T12. So he has only sent me the trailing 12 on one property. And as you can see right down here, for those of you, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of a basic lesson in Excel during this course, and for those of you that know Excel, you'll see exactly what I'm doing right away. First thing to do is, because I know he's calling it one particular property, colony, I check down the tabs down here to see if they're hiding any other properties, and as you can see there, he has just given me one bit of information. Now they're calling it a T12. That means a trailing 12. That means 12 months. But look what they give us. They give us really 12-month report, but we're only receiving financial information for 8 of those 12 months. Okay? Then you look at the how these things are calculated. And what you do is you put your cursor right on that last block, the total block, and up here under this column you'll see that it is not a formula, that the number in that cell is actually hard-coded, which probably means that this was just a download from an online report and the formulas are not in there. That's fine, but it's your responsibility to verify that. So what you do to verify that is you come over here to the next block, come up to formulas, hit auto sum, and I'm going to sum up this whole column. And once I do that and I hit enter, this new cell under column O should equal the number in column N. Let's see if it does. Boom. Yeah, okay, so it adds up perfectly, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag all the way down. And as you can see, it ends up being the exact same number. I'm just going to take it down one more, make sure that the negative is the negative. And it is. Okay. So as you can see, this property is running at a loss over those 8 months. But it's only for 8 months. I have to annualize this information. So how do you annualize it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number, this cell, it equals, open paren, this number divided by 8 months times 12 months, and that's what the actual annualized income would be for this property. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to format the cells so that it's currency with two, bingo, ba-boom, and there we have it. Now I'm going to click and drag it all the way down. So that means that my annual loss is only negative $76,000. Okay, but those are the numbers I'm going to grab in just a moment. A couple of things you want to do while you're looking at these types of financials is look at the trends. Like, look at this. They give you one column for income. And look at it. You get $58,000 one month. You get $77,000 the next month. And then you're back down to 58, 51, 60, 63, 48, 35. So, as you can see, the income tends to be stable around the 55, 58 number, but you have these outliers of 77 and 35. Now, when you see something like a 77, that could be that they really went out and started knocking on the doors. They did collections, and the collections were up that month. Or, they could have signed a new laundry contract, and the laundry company could have come in and written them a check for $25,000 that you won't see for another 10 years. And they're trying to stick that into the rental income section, and you are going to have to capitalize that and overpay for the property because of that one check. $35,000. What happened there? I mean, that's almost half of what they typically collect. So a lot of questions going on in this particular property. Let's take a look at what they actually, the deal that we're looking at. The property that they sent us the financial for is called Colony Place. So let's read about Colony Place before we go any further. It's located on this particular drive, 156 units and almost 10 landscape acres. Property has a colonial style with attractive brick exteriors. The property has a leasing office, clubhouse and pool, picnic area, and walking paths. The property is currently 87% occupied, and they only collected $35,000 that last month. So there is a huge difference between the physical vacancy and the economic vacancy. And as you can see, when you're talking to a broker, they only like to talk physical vacancy. They don't like to talk economic vacancy, because 87% is a much better number than 40%. But that's typically what this property should be occupied as, because nobody's paying. They're all living there, but nobody's paying. So the location is excellent and for rentals. The surrounding neighborhood is stable, middle class, blah, blah, blah. Actual gross income in 2012 was $767,000. Potential gross rent is 1.1. On current below market rents is 865, with potential net income of 678,000 per year. But these guys never even came close to these numbers. Current value estimated at 5.2 after rent increases. And efficient management, $7 million, but the offer price is only 3.3. What a steal! What a steal for a property that's going to be losing $75,000 a year. They said that the potential gross rent is 1.1. What did we come up with when we annualized that number? 673,000. Geez, they're not even close. Not even close. All right. So, what do we do? For many of you, depending on you get a deal like this, and you kind of think to yourself, do I even want to make an offer? Because the fact that it's a negative $76,000 NOI means that this is a non-cap rate sale. Which means there's no income on this property. So what should we do? Now, if your strategy is to own cash flowing properties on day one, you wouldn't want to touch this deal. If your strategy is to buy and rehabs and repositioning assets, this one might be a pretty good one to look at. So those are some of the issues that you need to take into consideration. Now hold on one second. Let's take a look at the expenses. They have an automobile expense, okay? Building repairs, that's a legitimate category. Total building repairs. I'm just going to highlight these sections because I'm going to come back and grab these. Automobile expense is one that we're going to need. Courtesy officer, $4,800. Yeah, that's security. That means somebody's not behaving properly. We've got total insurance. They've got property and liability, $54,000. Okay, taxes are right there. Landscaping, leasing and referrals, licenses and permits. That's all. Those are numbers we're going to want. Total supplies we're going to want. Management software, yeah, that's fine. It's only $700. Contract labor, that's a good one. We got to include in there. Payroll expense, $105,000. Now check out this number. This is where you'd think that the property is actually running at a loss. They have mortgage right here. Why would you have mortgage above the line? We're just looking for net operating income and net operating expenses. A mortgage is not an expense that should be above the line. So I'm going to delete this whole category. Now you see what happens is, what should have happened is this number should have changed. Let me go back here. Oh, I see what the problem is. Let's go to, all right, well, we're going to come back and fix this ourselves. Advertising promotion, $37. Bank fees, big deal. Attorney fees, warrants and writs, credit checks. All right, we're going to include all of those. Utilities, we're going to total utilities. This is going to change now that we took that mortgage number out. Okay, so we're going to do a quick little tally on these numbers. I'm going to jump on over here to the Doug Rutherford screen, blow it up a little bit so everybody can see it. Now what I did already was I took, they asked for $3.35 million. I changed the multifamily to multifamily. Remember they said it was a 10 cap, so here I'm going to put in a 10 cap. The mortgage information, we're going to do 25% down. We're going to do about 4.5% interest rate. 30-year AM, yeah, let's give it a go. I'm going to try to make this deal look as good as it possibly can because it's ugly to begin with. Rent roll. Now, over here on the rent roll, we are going to go back to this number here, and I'm going to take the 673,463 and actually use my calculator on this one. 463 divided by 12 divided by, I think they said it was 156 units. Let me just check to make sure because I know I put that in here. Come on. All right, hold on a second. blow this up. Here we go. 156 units divided by 156 units, and it tells me that the monthly rent, wait a minute, is $360. All right? They're averaging $360. Okay, so understand what I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the information on an actual cash basis. They'll come back and tell you, no, $360 per month per unit is not the right number. No, it isn't. They're charging a lot more than that, but they're only collecting $360 per unit per month. And that's right now what I'm going to be using for my numbers. So that just kind of tells me just exactly how far, how high this offer can go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start minimizing this, and I'm going to let's bring this up a little bit. So I'm just going to slide this down. Bring this over. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to make it easy for everybody. I'm just going to hide these cells so we can just go right over to the final number. This is the last number I want right here. Okay, here we go. All right, so jumping over to the expenses. Sorry about that, folks. I get sniffles here. Automobile expense, 3,810. Let me see, what else do we want to put in there? Total building repairs. We'll do maintenance right here. 90973. We've got courtesy officer. We'll put him down under here on a courtesy officer. And he is at $4,800. And then we have total insurance, 54. Let's go with the insurance right here. 54658. And then we've got property taxes. Boy, that ain't right. That ain't right. Look at that, folks. Property taxes, $723. Interesting. Let's throw $25,000 in there just for giggles. That number is definitely going to be verified by us. But you see, this is the type of crap that you get. You've got to, and then of course they're like, well, why haven't you made an offer? Well, because your information is terrible. Leasing and referrals, 21673. Licenses and permits. Let's just association fees, 755. Okay, total supplies, 92489. Contract labor, we're going to do payroll, other, contract, 1542. Payroll expense is 105. You notice what's also missing here? There's a management fee. No, we don't need no stinking management fee. Attorney's fees, I'll just put this under professional. Well, they already have that. I'll just throw the attorney's fees under pest. That is a professional joke. Only I can joke that way. Warrants and writs. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go back under pests. I'm going to say 10,000 to include that in there. That should be about right. Credit phone service alarm. We'll just do an alarm. I'm going to do 8917. And then utilities, total utilities, we're just going to throw under 211,138. Holy cow, look at the expense ratio on this one. All right, let's take it back here and let's take a look at this. Look at, it's running at 102% expense ratio. That's why it's a non-cap rate sale. You're losing money every month. You can't even make a mortgage payment on this one. You can't even make an offer on this one. You have to look at this particular deal as a straight per unit cost basis. And remember what the broker said early on in his analysis? Look at this. He calls this stabilized. This is stabilized, and he's saying that it's 87% occupied and it can't make a mortgage payment? Do you see the disconnect here, folks, between what brokers tell you and what's true? And these are the same people that are dictating to you how you need to make your offer. Really, pal? You should be kissing my ring if I make you an offer on this deal, because this is just going to be a straight rehab. So what you want to do on a deal like this is you want to make an offer that is based upon the per unit cost. And he's telling us that the per unit cost at 335 is oh, come on, baby. At 335 is about $21,000 per unit. What you want to do is you want to go back in there and you want to say, what's it going to cost me to rehab all of these units? What's it going to cost me to get these units brought up to speed, up to market rents? How long is it going to take me? What's my burn rate? I did a video on this. You probably have seen it already. I think it's one of the look over my shoulder videos. What's the burn rate? How long is it going to take me to get this thing repositioned? And how much money is it going to cost? You take that number, divide by 156 units, and you add that onto the per unit acquisition fee. And then that number needs to be well below what the market is for that particular property in that particular area. And that difference is your profit. So don't be shy. On this particular deal, I'll tell you something. This is what I would do. I'm going to jump on over here to the LOI because I've already written it. So you've got this LOI. Now you'd take this letter and you'd put it on your stationery. You do not write in the big header letter of intent. Don't ever let me catch you do that, okay? You put it on your letterhead, your company's letterhead. You say letter of intent for the colony at Camp Creek, 322 Kenilworth Drive, East Pont, dear Mr. Smith. You name it to the broker. If you're friendly with the guy, you say, dear John, and then here's all the information. But in this particular case, it's $156,000, 156 units. I'm offering 156 I'm offering $10,000 per unit. That's what I'd do. Now, here's the problem: is for this type of a deal, you cannot get financing. So right away, if you cannot get financing, we've got to take out the financing requirement, saying that it's, we're going to go for a first mortgage, blah, blah, blah. You cannot get a conventional finance deal on this. And you don't want to let this guy know that you're going after a hard money deal, because he knows this okay, fine, it's going to close, but this is going to be, you're going to have to come up with 35% down. So you want to keep that type of information close to your vest. You want to make this guy think that you're going to pay cash for this deal. And so when you make an offer based upon the cash, you're going to have to change out some of the terms here. Now, the purchase agreement will say 15 days. Earnest money deposit is going to be, as we said, the 15.6. All right. With the escrow agent, that actually should be a typically defined term, proper noun. So we're going to leave it there. Now, take a look at this part here, 4, 5, and 6. So in this particular template, the way we've got it structured is we're asking for a 45-day inspection period. We're asking for 30 days for financing period after the 45 days. And now we're up to 75 days. And the clock doesn't start ticking until we get all the information on the Schedule 1. Well, I can tell you that these people don't have the information on the Schedule 1. This property is barely performing. They don't have the information that we're looking for. So that's going to be a problem for them. So now you're up to 75 days. Now check out the closing date. The closing date will be 30 days after the end of the financing period. So you go from 30, now you're up to 105 days. And then we're asking for a 30-day extension if we want it. So now we're at 135 days. 135 days. Holy cow, it's over 4 months. These guys aren't going to go for that. They want this thing gone as fast as they possibly can. It's costing them $75,000 a year just to own and operate. They want to get rid of this thing as fast as they can. So this date structure is not going to work for this deal. So you've got to get a little bit more aggressive on the date structure. Now, typically on this particular deal, I mean, I'd say 30. I'm not going to go with anything less than that. Now, because it's going to be There's not going to be a financing period involved. We're going to close 15 days after the 30. So because there's no financing, I'm going to take out this whole section, take it right out. And it changed the numbers perfectly. So the closing date is going to be 30 days after the end of the inspection period. Should financing constraints dictate additional time, an additional 30-day extension shall be available upon written request from the purchaser. Okay, hey, let's leave that in there. Let's see if they bite. Who cares? You know, it's not no skin off our teeth. You don't ask, you don't get. All right. So that is the that's it. We just wrote the offer for this particular deal. Hey, folks, I'm going to put this information up on the website. If you want to send it off to this guy, good luck to you. I don't want this deal. This isn't my type of property. And that's what I will do. I will put the offer up, and I'll put the this property package, and I'll put the spreadsheet up on the cash flow analyzer so everybody can fool around with it and see how I did it. You know, look at 12 plus cap rates. I mean, I've seen these deals over and over again, and there's so many of them out there. That's why, you know, for some people they're talking about doing doing rehab work or setting up a fund to buy property. I think the only way that you can successfully take on these types of deals is if you raised private money in the form of a fund, not in the form of a one-off. When you have a fund, you'll have a bucket of money where you'll be able to go and turn these things around. I guarantee you, everything about this deal, you know, for the amount of time it takes to turn. If you think it's going to be a year, budget for 24 months. If you think it's going to cost $10,000 per unit, budget for $20,000 per unit. Double everything in your assumptions. Make sure that you're being very conservative in your assumptions, because the last thing you want to do is have to go back to your investors and say, "Whoops, we blew it." Okay, I got a couple of questions. Let me take a look at them. Okay, Sam asked a question. What does a Schedule 1 look like? Okay, Sam, when I put it, let me just minimize that too. When I put the this LOI up there, it's also in the Resources and Archives section. So what you want to do is you want to scroll down to the bottom of this, right past see where everybody's supposed to sign, and there you have it, the Schedule 1, due diligence information. This is all the information that you need. This is the Schedule 1. This is what they have to show up to the table with right after we execute the purchase and sale agreement. Now, when you're putting together the purchase and sale agreement, and we'll talk about this in the due diligence seminar, all of the information will be in your purchase and sale agreement, cut and pasted into your purchase and sale agreement. These guys know exactly what you need right away. Back in the LOI stage, they know right away what you need in order to make an offer. And so that's why, if you go back here to the section where it talks about the inspection period, check this out. The effective date shall be the date on which the purchaser has received all of the documents listed in Schedule 1. Okay? So that's a floating date. So if we execute the purchase and sale agreement today, it doesn't mean that we have to get our earnest money deposit in right away. We get our earnest money deposit in 3 days after the effective date. See right here? Within 3 days of the effective date. Well, when's the effective date? The effective date is when we receive all the documents in Schedule 1. Well, when is that? We don't know. It's when the seller gets us all the information that we've listed over here. Well, that may take a while. Well, you know what? Here I am at the very beginning of our relationship, and I'm telling you exactly what information I need. Don't tell me, once we execute the purchase and sale agreement, that you don't know what you have and what you don't have. I've given you this information from the very beginning. You signed off on the purchase and sale agreement. You should know what you've got and what you don't have. And if you didn't have it, you should have crossed it out. That was your opportunity. Now you're telling me that you don't have this? And you're wondering where my earnest money deposit is? Folks, this is a great way to write these contracts, and let me explain why. You're going to be asked, to get into this deal, you got to write a check for $15,600. It doesn't mean you have to spend it, but you got to write a check that clears and let it sit with the escrow agent. All right? Now, if you're looking at a bunch of deals, you might not have all that money that you can throw out there. Or if you have to scrape together the $15,000, that's a problem for you. Or if you use my earnest money deposit program, that $15,600 costs you money. So you want to make sure that this deal is going to go. And you will be able to tell if this deal is going to go by whether this guy can get you the information on the Schedule 1. And if he can't get it for you, you don't write a check. That's the beautiful way of how I've structured this. It ticks off the brokers because it means that the contract is not bound yet. But the thing is that it requires an effort on the part of the seller to get you what you need. If the seller can't give you what you're asking for, that you've been asking for since day one, he's never going to be able to get it. And for you to evaluate the quality of the business that you're being asked to spend, $1.5 million on, well then, if he can't produce, then you shouldn't be forced to write a check either. It takes up your time, it takes up your money. So that, Sam, that hopefully answers your question. Yeah, okay, we get some more questions here. Let's take a look. Do you have a clause where if they haven't provided the info you need by a certain date that your interest in this property has expired? Well, Mike, that's technically what we're doing here is, we're under contract when we execute it, but we're not providing cash. We're providing other forms of consideration. And the thing is, if the guy hasn't performed, you can just kill the agreement within 30 days. That seems, or 45 days in this case. That's really the inspection. Well, actually, I changed it to 30. That's really the inspection period. That's the clause that enables you to get out if these guys can't perform. So that really protects you. All right. Didn't get how you came up with the offer of 1.56. How the cash? Okay. Yeah. Ronnie asked a question. How did I come up with 1.56? Well, the fact is that the software is not going to give me the software. Hold on a second. Let me put it back over here. Let's go. I didn't show you this one particular slide, and I apologize. Good question, Ronnie. I jumped too fast. Let's take a look at what happens to this property. Remember, he's looking for 3.35. He's telling us it's a 10 cap. We're going to put 25% down, 30-year amortization, right? Come up here to the cash flow CFA, cash flow analysis software. Look at all the red. Look at all the red. Look at the debt coverage ratio. It's a negative number. You don't make enough money to even make a mortgage payment. This property doesn't fly at 3.35. So I don't want it. So let's go back and say, okay, let's try it at $10,000 per door. Now, why 10,000? Because I'm assuming that in this particular marketplace, it's a challenging asset. You're looking at between $20,000 and $30,000 per unit is what a market property is running for. Now, I don't know this market. If you were looking to buy in this market, you would know that answer right away. You would know that this property typically trades for, let's say, $30,000. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to offer 10 because I know that I got to go back to the hard money guys. And my numbers are better look smoking hot for them to get interested. If I'm going to raise private money to do this deal, I better have this deal under contract at a smoking hot rate where nobody's going to want to put money in my deal because it's a very risky deal. So I decide I'm going to pay $10,000 per door. Remember the 156 units? So Ronnie, that's how I came up with that 1.56 million. Okay, $10,000 per door. That enables me to put $10,000 of rehab money per unit into the deal. And so when I do that, now my property's worth $3 million. Now, according to what this guy says, is once we stabilize this asset, it's going to be worth $7 million. So, hey, there's my profit, $4 million. But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of risk and a lot of sleepless nights to make $4 million. But do you want to do it? Yes, some people are young and just crazy enough to try. So that's how I came up with the 1.56. Now, look what happens to the numbers when we do that. They're still red. My debt coverage ratio is still negative. There's not enough cash flow because the property is a non-performing asset. It's a non-cap rate sale. I mean, look at these numbers up here. It's just they don't even fill in. So that's how I came up with it. If I were to do this deal, I would steal it at 1.56. And you know, like I always say, if you can't hang your head in shame, you've offered too much. And I would be hanging my head with pride in this one. Okay, let me check some more questions. And if I'm not answering the ones you want to hear, just let me know. Question from Sam. Is this a D-class property? You better believe it, Sam. This is as bad as it gets. And notice how the broker is trying to put a spin on it, trying to put a shine on the sneaker. You just can't do it when you look at the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. A C-class property will have a cap rate. It'll cash flow to a certain degree. A D-class property is a non-cap rate sale. There's no value in it from a cash flow standpoint. You're buying it as a essentially a tear down or a full gut rehab. And when you're looking at a Class D property, you're really not looking at the income, because you're going to be kicking all those people out. The income is so far below market that the people that are living there right now can't afford the market rents. And you want people in there who can afford the market rents. So you're going to have to go in there and kick everybody out, shut the place down, clean it up from top to bottom, put a new shine on the sneaker, put new signage on it, really make it look different, cool paint pictures, cool paint job, and then fill the thing up and get out of there. Because when you're a rehab guy, you tend not to be an owner-operator. You're going to get in there, turn it around as fast as you can, and then get off the move your money to another deal. Will you add the $10,000 into the software under the initial improvements? Yeah, but I wouldn't do it right now. Okay, so I'm sorry. So Sam asked the question: will you put the $10,000 per unit per year rehab costs in the software? And the answer is yes. Under initial improvements, you'd put in like another 156, but it's not really going. You would do this for when you come up here to the goal seek number. And then you'd really solve for fair market, solve for initial monthly rent with the cash and cash before tax being 20%. Seek the answer. Let's see. Initial monthly rent must be $593. So what we would do is go back to the rent roll and change this to $593. So we need to bring the average rents that we're collecting from $360 up to $593 in order for this property to make money. Now let's look at the cash flow analyzer. Did everybody just see what I just did? If I just went too fast, let me know, and I'll go. I'll do it over again. Now look at folks. There's no red. Look at your debt coverage ratio, 5.64. Holy smokes! Now you're thinking, what, 5.64? Even though you just doubled the price, why did it go up so high? Remember, these initial improvements do not get included in the debt coverage ratio, just the mortgage amount, okay, of 1.17. That's why the debt coverage ratio is so high. We can finance these improvements and increase the contract purchase price to 3.120, and then we're going to get the right debt coverage number. But because of the way I've added these initial improvements into the 1.156, that means that it does not get included in the debt coverage ratio analysis. That's why the numbers look smoking. Cash on cash returns 16%, 17, 18. And you see how it says 20% in year 5? Remember what I did up here under the goal seek. If you look at, there's one particular, yeah, by year 5, what does it have to be if I want a 20% cash on cash return in 1 year? Boom. I have to get my rents up to $627. I can do that. Let's go over my rent roll. 627. Boom. Cash flow analyzer. Look at my debt coverage ratio. Even better, because my rents have gone up. Cash flow, cash on cash return in year 1, 20.03. This is great software, guys. This stuff is fantastic. So that should give you an idea of how you make this deal work. All right. Now let's go back and just take a look at it. You make an offer of 1.56, but you better have a bank of 1.56 for improvements, $10,000 per unit, sitting in a bank. You do not want to do a rehab out of current cash flow. That's the worst way to do one of these deals. If you're looking to do a rehab on a property, you want your bank of money in the bank before you even get started. You will be chasing your tail if you do it any other way. And it's almost a recipe for disaster. So make sure that you buy the property and you've got your rehab bank all set up to go. So make sure you do it that way. Now let's take a look at some more questions. Will you add the tenant? Thanks. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. Welcome. Okay, if I want to bird dog this deal, okay, good question. If I wanted to bird dog this deal to another buyer, should I make sure the seller signs the LOI? Okay, I'm not quite sure that that's the way you would want to go. Let's assume that. Let's just walk it through the process here of bird dogging. Hold on a second, folks. I gotta take a little swig of water. Okay, let's take a look at the parties involved here. We've got some guy who's out there peddling this deal. Let's see if we can find a name on him. If anybody is, can just jump on the internet and find, go on LoopNet and see if they can do a search on Colony at Camp Creek in the East Point, Georgia area. Yeah, if you can see, the guy doesn't have any information on here about who he is or who I'm supposed to submit the offer to. That's kind of interesting. Makes you think you're not really dealing with a real player. Anyway, all right, so here are the three players. We've got the guy who's put this deal together and has essentially dictated what type of an offer he wants. Let's assume he's a broker. Then you've got this bird dogger. She's a broker out of Florida, and she's contacted me. And I'm a principal. I would put together the deal. I would syndicate the deal, or I would share it with my clients. And if one of my clients wants to do it, then we would put it together. So the deal is, you've got the bird dogger out of Florida. How does she get paid? Okay, it's her responsibility to ask that question and know the answer. If she thinks that I am going to pay her, then before she ever sends me this property package, she had better get me signed up with a non-circumvent, non-disclosure agreement and a fee agreement, so that it says if I buy this, I am going to pay her. And if she doesn't get that signed by me and then she sends this package to me, she's out of luck. See, the only thing that a bird dogger has for sale is information. And once that information leaves her mouth without anything bringing it back, it's gone for good. So as a bird dogger, the first question you always have to ask is, who is going to pay me? Now, in this particular case, I think she said that, no, she's getting paid by the broker. Okay, fine. So she has to have some type of a contractual arrangement with the broker. That's not my responsibility. I don't care what her thing is. I can guarantee that in the purchase and sale agreement, it's going to clearly state that I do not pay anyone a commission. And, you know, if that's a surprise to everybody, well, they should have got it cleared from me before they sent me out this information. So as a bird dogger, you've always got to understand, how do I get paid? And then get it under contract. And here's the thing is, don't trust anybody. Don't be the type of person, oh, you know, they'll pay me at the closing table. I know he's good for it. Let me tell you something, folks. If it's not under contract, it's not an obligation. You're not going to get paid. Get it under contract. This is your business. This is how you make your money. Get those things signed. Don't fool around. This is not kids' stuff. And, you know, not everybody is nice, especially at the closing table. Oh, I can tell you some stories. So, Ronnie, let me know if that answers your question. Let me read your question. If I want to bird dog this deal to another buyer, should I make sure the seller signs the LOI? Well, the seller is ultimately going to have to sign the LOI because they're the ones that they're going to have to be under contract. So, yes, the seller will be the one signing the LOI. The buyer would also be the one presenting the LOI. And then you, as a bird dogger, are going to have to figure, am I getting paid by the seller or am I getting paid by the buyer? Seller or buyer. So regardless, you've got to get that thing lined up and locked up and make sure you understand how you're getting paid. Okay. Can you do a future workshop on bird dogging and wholesaling? Oh, okay. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that is a section coming up in one of the months. But what I can do is, when I did a mentoring program, let me see, I can a little background noise here. When I did a mentoring program, it was an 8-week course, and there's a whole section on bird dogging and wholesaling. I actually have that recorded, and I'm going to start putting up those recordings up in the archive section. I'm also going to, all of the courses that I'm teaching on the masterclass are new and fresh and good stuff, and so I'm going to do a new section on bird dogging and wholesaling, but I'm going to have the, I'll make sure that I get those up. I'll tell you what, Greg, just shoot me an email reminding me to do that, because it's just, all it is for me is just linking a hyperlink on the resource and archive section. Work has already been done. So yeah, great, I appreciate it. So yeah, so that should give you an idea, bird dogging and wholesaling. And also make sure, if you're interested in bird dogging and wholesaling, I've got a great document on the resources and archives section that talks about how to get paid as a bird dogger. I wrote like 3 or 4 years ago, and that's pretty good stuff. So you got to go check that out as well. And then Greg asks, working with a buyer now, must I get the fee agreement signed before the search begins? Okay, now so Greg asks a question. He's working as a bird dogger now with a buyer. Must I get the fee agreement signed before the search begins? Okay. Now, I look at that in 2 different ways. I look at it from a bird dogger perspective, and I look at it from the buyer's perspective. From the bird dogger's perspective, you want this guy locked up as quickly as possible. You want him locked up from a non-circumvent, non-disclosure agreement, and you want to lock him up for a fee agreement. The problem with that is that you can't lock somebody up before there's a deal that you're talking about. Because we've looked at some deals that are $80 million deals. We've looked at some deals that are $800,000 deals. Well, if you're dealing with an $80 million deal, and I'm not kidding, this is the type of bird dogging stuff that can go on. If you're looking at a deal that's $80 million deal, you can, you're not going to come out of that deal with a 3% finder's fee. It's just not going to happen. People who are buying $80 million deals are very savvy, and they know we're not going to pay a bird dogger 3%. So you can't get the buyer to sign off on a deal today that they don't even know how big the deal is going to be. And here, Greg says he's got a 1% a bird dog fee. That's perfect. That's typically what a bird dog fee should be. A wholesaling fee should be about 3%. A bird dogging fee should be about 1%. But even some of those big ones, you see a sliding scale based upon that. Now, if you can get the deal and the guy locked up ahead of time, absolutely do it. If the guy says, well, show me, tell me about a deal first, and then I'll sign. If it's a deal I'm interested in, then I'll go ahead and sign the contract. So those, you as a bird dogger want to lock the guy up first. You as a buyer should wait to see what the bird dogger can provide for you. You don't want to jump into the deal too quickly as a buyer, because you could end up really killing the deal. You might not be able to do the deal because you gave too much away. I mean, that's the thing, is I've seen some of these bird doggers asking for 3% just for an introduction. And remember, as a guy who's syndicating the deal, your acquisition fee is 3%. That means you've got to put the whole deal together. You've got to put your earnest money down. You've got to negotiate the deal, find the deal, find all the investors, put everything together, and at the closing table, you get 3%. But because of the deal you struck with the bird dogger, he's getting 3% too, just for sending you an email. That doesn't pass the sniff test. So make sure you understand the value of the deal and don't give things away that you don't have to. So, okay, I have no more questions. I'll give you another 10 seconds. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and type them in there. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this down. It was 4:51, and I will have this recording reproduced, and it'll be up on the website. And I will also include these documents on the website as well, so that you know exactly what we're talking about, and you can see how I did certain things, and hopefully that'll work. And once again, Don has his hand up. think this is going to be anyone that listens to these archives. He keeps taking his hand down. All right. Hopefully that explains everything to you, and this was helpful, guys. I'm telling you, what did it take us? It took us 25 minutes to put together that offer. That's really, it takes no time at all. Once you know how to do this, you can do this. I want you making these offers and tripping over yourself all day long. If you have any questions about any deals you're working on, you're in the masterclass program, send them on over to our office. We will help you evaluate them. We will make sure you're doing this correctly. We'll make sure that the offers that you have sending out are done the right way, but you got to be sending out offers, even just for practice, okay? So hope that was helpful, and we will see you all soon. We got a busy week this week with stuff. Watch for some new resource and archives information. Watch for this, and then we got the upcoming webinar on due diligence, and then also we have the upcoming seminar on due diligence. There's about 10 seats left. I'm going to start really selling those seats coming up, so you want to make sure that that gets out there. If you're thinking about coming, let me know, and I will try to save you a seat. But otherwise, everybody, thanks for coming, and I will talk to you all later.